improving, we're learning, but early supporters towards Lime that I felt very excited about. One interesting factor for you is Oklahoma City has been the top performing market for Lime for a long while. So it's not like a short spurt, spark. It has been there for quite a bit of time. And the other reason is a little bit more personal. As you might tell, I'm a first generation immigrant. And one of the thing I love about is travel around and see how different cities are, how beautiful they are, appreciate the local culture, appreciate the people and diversity. I've been to, Oklahoma and also that region for quite a bit of times. Some are really for business trips, launching the markets, and quite a few times I just take a road trip, went there and really to explore around. And that give me really fresh perspective on how diversified the world is. One thing you might not know at Lime that I defined the first and foremost value for the entire company is community first. We love community. We serve the community and we are positioned to be a very hyper local business, regardless how global the brand is, that every single market is by its own, is the community we're supporting. And that also enlarge further into that how we support the local businesses and how we be responsible citizens in every single community and the city we're in. So that's the reason that I was, I'll just have a good chat with them. And of course, the innovation center that was led by Thomas and the team, I think is very important to my heart as well. Being an entrepreneur myself, I see one of my mission and duty is to help the next generation of entrepreneurs to get on the right track, or at least give them some perspective to consider. So with all the background, just let me tell you a little bit, about myself. I'll go in a reverse order. I started Lime roughly about 4 years ago. So Lime is a relatively young company. We started in January 2017, not that long ago. And I started a company with two other co-founders with the dream of like re-innovate and reinvent the urban travel could be, and also to address the issues not only just on first of all environmental protection, but also its affordability and also saving time. And I think everyone, if you take the time here today, you at least show two things. First, you're interested in entrepreneurship and innovation, and the second thing, you are treating your time very very seriously. This is the number one universal currency that's fair to everyone. Where you spend time matters a ton. And when we started Lime, that we look at how expensive the Ubers are out of the reach for majority of the people. We look at how not environmental friendly the cars are. They're great. Don't get me wrong. Cars are great in inventions, but not necessarily in every single scenario, right? If you just run for a short trip, buying groceries or just drop off a mail, it's not necessary to really take the car and have 4,000 pounds of steel and rubber go with you and burn energy and have the emission. But more importantly is really the traffic congestions that we all experience today. Before coronavirus, of course. In the coronavirus is a whole different story, but how do we save the time for people so they can live more? That's one of the key things that we're trying to answer with Lime and the services. So when we get started, it was a new concept, and we got a lot of questions, right? Whether people take it, whether the city agree with it, how we deal with the cluttering issues, how we deal with safeties, all that, and those are the things that we believe and we've been proving it that could be solved by better processes and technologies and data and all kinds of ways. The one thing we wanted to address, however, that we just cannot do it alone, is to generate a movement. The movement, people embrace it, regardless using our service, competitors' services, or bring your own bikes or scooters to cut down the traffic. And that's the part that we hope cities and in the community, every one of you that will be, taking part of it and really make it happen together. So if you ask me, there's a number one goal for Lime. That's the movement we love to generate. We love to see the cities are cleaner. We love to see the cities as less traffic, and we love to see our community members that stay in a healthy lifestyle, go out more, but also in a healthy way. Uh, Before that, I co-founded and started a venture capital fund, and we manage roughly about 800 million or so in Fund 1 and Fund 2 investment, doing investments in technology and innovations. And before that, I was at a company called Tencent. I'm not sure how many how many of you heard about it. When I joined the company, it's relatively small, a few hundred people, and with a market cap of about 750 million. I was there for 8 years and spearhead their global strategy and operation. And after that, the company grew from 750 million in market cap to today roughly about 700 or 800 billion. I don't check stock price, so I don't really know. But that was a really interesting journey, and I learned a lot from it. And before that, I was at the UC Berkeley for my MBA program for 2 years. And my biggest activity was in the innovation center at the UC Berkeley. And of course, take participation in entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And then before that, I was in China, born and raised in China, and also did a couple of startups there. So as you can tell, the first thing is that I love building things. I probably is just an entrepreneur or entrepreneur at Tencent throughout my life. And the other thing you may not have noticed, but I'll just tell you straight, I'm very introverted. So, public speaking, so that is just not my strengths or something I feel excited about, but sometimes I think it's necessary and important, including share with peers or even internally with my team, right? Standing on the stage and give a really epic talk is just not my thing. So I tended to be just honest, to be honest, to be straightforward, and hopefully that will help someone. Some other interesting factors I would say, for Lime, I'm not sure how many have you tried or at least seen it, right? If you do, maybe just give a yeah in the chat, so at least we can have a little bit of fun factor. But when we get started, it's not like so obvious. We got a lot of challenges that, whether it's something user will take, whether city will agree with it, whether people are willing to not say give up the cars, but give up some of the car trips, and whether this is something that could be changed by technology and by new way of operation. Since shared bike has been around for as long as 70 years, it's not a new thing. It has been experimented, it's been pushed all over the world, but majority of them were sponsored by the government, and implementation was not that convenient. And also, of course, the business model doesn't really sustain. So when we look at it, we know there are a lot of challenges, and we know some of them are really going to be really difficult. But what we focus on is what user value we're getting. Are we really creating value? And if we're not creating value, regardless how good the business model is, it will not be sustainable. But if we are creating true value to the user itself and also to the communities we serve, then the belief was at the time, we can figure out a way to make the business sustainable. So that's the thinking process behind it, not the other way around, right? If any idea started with like how much money I can gain, I think that probably is off the wrong foot. So I think anyone, if you're interested in doing a startup or come up with some innovative ideas, I think focus on the user value or value generation to begin with, probably is the better way to do. And the second thing what we focus on, which will probably leads Lime to be slightly different than some other companies, is that we focus on the long term. We didn't look at like what happens next quarter or next year. We focused on what happens 10 years down the road or even 20 years down the road, generation down the road. And then some of the answer becomes very clear. Are we going to add is the population in the city going to grow or is it going to be reduced? Majority of the cities are growing really fast in terms of population. And the second answer to the traffic question will be, can we build more roads and put more cars on the road to solve the traffic problem? And the answer is no. We've been trying that. We've been building freeways, highways, intercity ways, bridges. We've been in that chase for the last, I don't know, 5 decades. And it's just not going to be sustainable, and it's not making our living environment better. Then the third question will comes to, if there are ways that are more green energy, faster, and also cheaper, where user willing to make a behavioral change. And I think it's not obvious, right? Down the road, I think the answer is fairly clear. It will be shared, it will be more nimble devices, it will be electric powered. So those are what things we'll work on and focused on. And when we get started, the norm, not sure how much you hate it or love the mentality of Silicon Valley, but the norm in the Silicon Valley at the time was to do it first, ask for apologize later. You probably heard the term, which we strongly against. And we got advices say, hey, you should just launch in the city and dominate the market, and then you talk to the city later. No, we didn't do that. And that's also because we focus on the long term. If we look at the long term, who are we serving? We're serving the users, of course, but also the communities and also the cities. The cities are our clients. Second, given the vision of the company, if we're trying to generate a movement towards clean transportation, who will be the partners? It's again the communities and cities. Why would we slap our partner's face? And that just doesn't make sense. Even if we win some of the market in the short term and we're not generating the support of the community and the cities, then we will not be able to achieve our vision to generate that movement, the movement we love to see. Even at the end of the day, everyone owns their own devices, or we're using our competitor because their product is better. We're happy because the movement we generated will benefit everyone, including the user and also the broader communities. So we were a little bit different, if you would, at the time, right? If you look back at the history, everything seems obvious. We work with cities, we help them to generate the data, help them analyzing the traffic, making road condition better and make it safer. But then at a moment, there was a lot of pressure. Say, hey, you guys are crazy, right? Everyone, that's a successful formula. Uber did that, whoever the other company did that, why are you not doing it? And we went back to the long-term vision, and we went back to where we really want to be, in 10 years, in 20 years. So I think that helped us to think through some of the challenging moment. And as a new business, a very young company, there are a lot of challenges that we have to face. But I think what supports us are really, number one, is passion, right? I grew up in China. Before I came to the US, I don't have a car. So I take the bike everywhere. And my commute to college was 40 kilometers, translates into roughly 25 miles each way. And that was, quite a bit of experience for me. And then, came here, started using car as a main transportation. I still keep my habit. I will bike to anywhere I could, and even today. So I think that's one thing I like to share is work on the things that you firmly believe in and also you have the passion for. Otherwise, it will not be sustainable. Being an entrepreneur or just being someone strive for the best, it will be not easy, right? It's a lot of hard work, a lot of push, a lot of late nights with stress. So working on something that you believe and you're passionate about. And the second thing is look at the long term, and that a lot of so-called questions or challenges will be answered by itself. I think then revert back, say, what do we do today in order to get to the long-term goal or long-term vision? And that will be my personal experience, helped me quite a bit. And the third thing, I think good partners, good co-founders, good team is the invaluable asset you will have. and also, of course, families and friends. It's a very lonely journey being an entrepreneur, and especially when you come to the point that your idea either so innovative or is so disruptive. The lot of pressures that you have to take on your own. So have good team members, partners, friends, families will be very critical in order to, really sustain the not so easy entrepreneurship life. But by the end, I wanted to also share a little bit is, how do I describe it? And I think entrepreneurship is not, it's a spirit. It's not a career or title, right? Many are in entrepreneurship for the title or recognition as a co-founder. I would say that's a little bit not right in many ways. It's more about the spirit of figuring things out, improve the world, improve our lives, or make stride in human progressions or whatever you believe in. It's less about the being recognized as a celebrity or make tons of money. I think some of them naturally comes as a side product, but it shouldn't be the focus. I did see, as an entrepreneur myself and as an investor and board members of many companies, I did see folks go right. I did see folks also went wrong for a variety of reasons. But the intention and also the focus of every decision that you will make really matters a ton. And the end of the day, our life are decided by or determined by every single decision, that the combination of the decisions we make through life, right? Some are big, some are small, but I think the thinking process and the focus really help you to make the right decisions. So again, that I think that's just, I wanted to briefly share some of my personal experience and thinking, and also again, I'm always very excited about the innovation centers, the entrepreneurship centers to promote the entrepreneur spirit around the globe, and I always feel very excited to see all the different community come up with creative ideas, and also the young professionals that are so keen to the idea of making changes. So I'll keep it relatively short, and we can have more time to either discuss the topics that you are interested or dive a little bit deeper into any parts that you feel more excited about. Then I'll hand it back to you.
Trying to find that unmute button. Great, thank you so much. I am absolutely fascinated. One thing I was wondering is there anything that sparked for you? Was there a moment where you realized you wanted to become an entrepreneur, or is this something that you just kind of ended up in?
I think it's a little bit of both. Depends on how we define the entrepreneur. Right? I think that entrepreneurial spirit is just really what I feel excited about. I just always excited about new things, and also create things or building things. Even when I'm alone, even when I'm stuck at home, as the lockdown is happening, I just can't stop building things, think about beautiful products, how I make things better. In terms of becoming an entrepreneur from a more traditional perspective, I think let me redefine that a little bit. Entrepreneur spirit is about making things happen, figure things out, and strive for what you believe and your vision, and make it happen. And this could be in the format. In my case, running a business, running a venture fund, leading a expansion team, or could be just at your church, could be even in a community doing initiatives. I would all generalize them as entrepreneurship. On the other hand, the model could be different, right? For Lime, the model is running a business, start a business to amplify what my vision is and the impact is, and using that as a machine to amplify that. I also I would say my entrepreneurship, like even at the kindergarten my kids go to, they they are disconnected with the nature a little bit, right? I started to help them to reconnect to the nature, but I cannot take them out. So what we did is couple of us build small projects or bring, plants and animals like little crawfish and rabbits to the classroom and make sure that we decorated they feel still connected with the nature. We could let a day go by, day by day, or we could really do something to make it better. So that's how I would describe it. That I think by nature, I just love figure things out. I just love making things better. And business model wise, Lime is one of the many actually, either business or organizations that I started at college at, uh, a master degree. I also initiated a few other things as well. So that's how I would describe it. But in terms of like the spark, I'll give you a fun factor how we started Lime. And I think that will be, hopefully, that will help you to think through that. Uh, may not be that pleasant in a way, right? Any of you had said bullshit in the last month or two? Like that's bullshit? Have you ever said it? Yeah, that's what I call the bullshit theory. If you said it one time, maybe just a one-off random things. If you said it 3 times, something is wrong. Something need to be fixed. Something could be improved upon. And that's how we started life. We were traveling around for my investment firm and quite a bit, right? Silicon Valley, New York, or Europe, you name it. Everywhere we go, traffic is horrible, and we just cannot, get to the meetings on time. In New York, we had to run. Well, lucky enough, I'm a runner, so but run in suit and with a big backpack, it's painful, right? You run in a on the street in order just to make the meeting. You call the taxi, you can't find it anywhere. Order the Uber is like 15 minutes stuck in the traffic away from you, even though your destination is only 10 blocks away. So what happened that at the time we were looking at a app called a City Bike. I'm not sure how many you tried it. When you look at a City Bike, the idea was amazing, right? You find a dock, you unlock the bike, you ride to the destination, you return the bike, you're there. And it costs very little, if you remember. What happened to us is we found a station, we went there very excited, was 2 blocks away. My destination was 10 blocks away. 2 blocks away, there was no bike. Since the supply was not enough during the rush hours, and then we're standing there, we had trying to find another dock station. It was another 2 blocks away. So now we walked 4 blocks out of the 10, right? But to a different direction. Then we found another dock. There was bike. And to set up the account, it took me 15 minutes, right? You set up the account, you remember the password, put in the credit cards, and then give you a little ticket. And then you take the ticket, then you forget which dock to go to. So it was a lot of times wasted. Finally, we got a bike. The bike was not maintained, so it's not a functional. And then we have to went back, repay it. We get another bike, and then we ride to the destination, and then realize that you have to ride to the next station, not destination. So we went to the station. The station was full. You can't return it. None of them is my fault as a user. I had to leave the bike there. I was late for the meeting. I was still late for the meeting. And the next day, I got a fine, $42. So now here's the whole journey. You're in New York. You are going to a destination 10 blocks away. Uber taxis, all the traffics are blocked. It took me 40 minutes to get a bike to right there to trying to figure out things out to return it. And I can't return it. And late for the meeting. And it cost me 15 plus $42. Is that bullshit? That's absolutely bullshit. And it's not only happening to me, it's happening literally to everyone in the city at the time. So how do we solve that? And there are many things that are like that. So when I use my bathroom, there are a lot of bullshits in there. it's leaking here, the fossil doesn't work, the water temperature is not stable, right? You probably experience all of them every day. There are just so many things we can make it better. And there are urgent things, there are less urgent things. So my bullshit theory is like when the time you got frustrated enough to say words like this, it probably matters. If it only matters to you, then you better fix yourself, right? If it matters to more people, then we should figure out a way to fix it. We should figure out a way to make it better for everyone else. So the some of the words probably is not good to be on a talk, but hopefully I made my point.
Absolutely. I loved it. Kristen Garcia, I see that in the chat we've got a question.
There are quite a bit in the
Sorry.
chat.
I'm in the car, so that's why I'm not on. But my question was about since you're a co-founder, I'd like to know what tips you had for creating your founding team.
Yeah, totally. That's a great question. There's so many considerations, but I will focus on two. The first one is one of the mentor I respect the most gave me. He said there are basically two axes that you can look at when evaluating not just the founding team, but everyone in the team. One is fit, the other is qualification or qualifying. I think tendency, what I've seen is most folks who are focused on the qualification instead of the fit. And when it comes to founding teams, I think it's much better to focus on the fit instead of qualification. The fit means that they believe the same vision, share the common values, and trustworthy, can also have the same cadence and pace as you are, or at least collaborate and coordinate very well. The qualification is what's easier to be evaluated, meaning you look at a resume and say, okay, 10 years as accountant, right? Whatever it is. But that can be learned. The fit is hard to learn. It's really hard to transplant a personality into another person, but it's not that hard to gain knowledge and experiences. And when it comes to founding members, you remember you guys will be fight in the same front line day and night. And sometimes when I joke about it, I spend more time with my co-founders than my wife or my family. And that's the reality. The reality is not only you will be spending so much time together, you will be working on things together, you will be sustain and take the pressure and challenges together, you will be facing some of the doubtfulness or even the disbelief together. So what the last thing you wanted to do is to spend too much time on convincing your co-founding team or partner that to do certain things in a certain way. You're better to be on a good cadence altogether. And in terms of qualification, I think that could be learned, could be hired. That's the next thing you wanted to worry about. So that's the one thing when I look for a founding team. And the second thing is kind of I won't say it's a joke, it's a reality. Reality is at the beginning, who joins you, right? It's friends, family, and a foe. And those are the three Fs that will join you at a very early beginning. Since you are seeing something, doing something new, by nature, it looks risky. It's not fully being understood by everyone. Otherwise, there will be not such a new opportunity for you to work on. So when it comes to that, I would say then really look for the believers in there, in your friends circle, family circle, and some of they so-called fool, right? They're not fool. They just really believe in you or really believe in the idea you have. So I think that will help you to get started, but also be careful with that though, is don't let that become a burden. In some cases, the early employees or partners will not be able to grow as the business scales. Human grows in a linear fashion, and business could be growing at a much higher speed. Take Lime, for example, that some of my early team members grow as the company grows, some didn't. But I had to let go. It was a really tough, decision and moment. I had to let go some of them in order to be responsible for the company and for the rest of the team. So my way to approach that was to make it transparent at the beginning. I told my early team members since day one, they're not guaranteed to be the VP, to be the whatever position they were in at the time, unless they grow together with the company. And same to me, right? If it's very even across all the team, and we all made a pledge that will be company first and vision first. So hopefully that will be helpful for you when you're considering and also looking for your founding members.
That is great information. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah, I know several people here have been wondering about that. Gabriel Paramo, are you on?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Gabriel.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing? I'm a student here at Norman at Price College. And my question was, what are some personal habits that you have that you believe contributed to your success?
I think to begin with, right, the first thing I would say is luck. That's half joking, but half not. I think what I meant by that is to be prepared when the luck strike you. So that's the most important thing. It's not like wait there for for the luck. Just be prepared. Luck is, I cannot attribute all the successes of Lime or whatever it is. Well, to be clear, Lime has not been successful yet. We're still working on it, right? For whatever it is, luck plays a lot of significant roles, not just in the entrepreneurship, but also in life. But luck strike everyone on an even odd, but only favors and really yield into result for those who are prepared. So I think what it truly means is be prepared, and also I think in terms of personal attributes is don't settle, never settle. That's one thing I really think that helped me to further pursue my dreams and further pursue what I'm passionate about. And it could be in many ways, right? Don't settle doesn't mean you have to hustling for your whole life, but you have to find your own passion and keep on working at it. What it means is, settle is always easy. You sit back, you grab a beer, lying on the couch, and one day just went by, or days, or weeks, or months, right? Don't settle on that. I was joking with my friends. I tried to retire 3 times. Every time that I would spend a couple months, really trying to figure out, what I wanted to do in my life and whatnot. Right? I tried like fishing, hunting, skiing, whatever, golfing, and I just cannot settle in that. I found myself a little bit empty if I only does that. So I always come back and then look around. So I think that's the thing I wanted to mention. The second thing is just curiosity. I'm always curious about everything and anything, and trying to figure out how it works, why it works this way. Does it, can we improve? Or it works in that way was a compromise because technology, everything was not ready at the time. So using that, I'll give you an example, right? I'm a biker. Many of you probably are, right? Have you ever wondered that why the bikes has no GPS on it or track them, or even your cars? Majority of the cars don't have a GPS on it, cannot be tracked. And that's critical for us to create a Lime. We need to track every single device. We need to know their usage. We need to be able to send signals to lock and unlock it, to detect, drunk drivings and all that. We did a lot of things the car industry hasn't done in 100 years. The scooter actually detect whether you're riding on a sidewalk, whether you are close to a school district, so we'll limit the speed, right? Whether you're going to a place that's either dangerous or prohibited, will shut down the device in a safe manner, in a safely manner, of course. And those are the things that when we look at, say, we didn't say, okay, no car has GPS or no bike has GPS. We'd rather say why. they don't have it. What are the limiting factors? Is there any breakthroughs or something we can make it differently to make it happen? And what we realize is really simple. Even 10 years ago, GPS chips and wireless data are prohibitively expensive, but it's not the case anymore. The GPS, I'm really bad at directions. So the first electric device I bought when I came to the US 17, 18 years ago was a GPS. Fancy technology. I still love that product. Cost me $900, but helped me to navigate the cities and go to places I've never been to. And today, you know how much the GPS chip cost? You can buy as cheap as like $2. $900 for a fleet of bikes is prohibitive. $2, yeah, I think we can make it work. So those are the thinkings that technology has been changing, what has been changing, but you take someone to ask the question why and how. And I think that's one of the things at least I enjoy, on a daily basis. Everything I look at it or becomes kind of a subconscious, subconsciously I would think about it, where could it be better? Why it's designed in this way?
That is so fascinating. I didn't realize there were so many innovative things, which I think is a great, Jeffrey Winnickoff's question is a great follow-up to what you were just talking about.
Yeah, I was curious with the Lime Company focusing on green transportation options in a lot of cities. Are you guys as a company either using or considering using solar electricity generation to power the devices, or wind, or other systems that you guys control versus the standard power grid with fossil fuel or other non-renewable generated electricity?
Yeah, that's a great question. Glad you asked, Jeff. The quick answer to everyone is we are already 100% renewable energy powered. Even though we're getting the energy still not 100%, since it depends on the grid. Sometimes we still get a grid from the old grid, but we are trading that for, there are systems that you can trade credits for that, right? So we're paying for the power we generated from solar and the wind energy, and some of the I think tide ocean energy as well. I believe we're already 100% solar powered, and in some of the city we already partner with the local green energy companies to get energy directly from them. And the next stage for the company is to power entire warehouses, operation, even our offices by renewable energy. We're the first one, and I believe we're still way ahead of any of our competitors to commit 100%. First, we committed to 100% renewable energy. I believe we're already there for all the fleet. And we committed 100% for not just the direct energy consumptions, but also indirectly our offices, warehouses, all that. The third commitment we made, again, very ahead of all the global agenda or whatnot, is to be net zero. So that goes beyond just the energy. It's all the parts, all the recycling products we have, and we are committed to make it, net zero. Again, that's the vision. We will fearlessly to stay true with the vision.
That's great.
As a quick follow-up, do you have a goal in mind to get to net zero, a time frame, or is it something that is still on the agenda?
It's we already made improvements. I think the parts recycle percentage has been improved from, I don't remember the exact number, but you can, if you're interested, you should be able to read at lime li.me. I think it's green or some. It's on the website, but we improved it from 30% recycle rate to now is 70 to 80%, and the goal is to initially set was 2030. Now I think we can achieve that much faster than that. And again, nobody asked us to do this. You know, we just want to be clear. Nobody asked to do that, and we're not just following the guidelines or the international whatever the Green Deal. We actually are way ahead of it.
That's amazing. Blake, Rice, how about you?
Yes. I know you talked a little bit about the growth a little earlier on, but was there like any moment that you recognized that Lime could be the best in its specified market? And then was there like any aha moment or like pivotal moment where you were like, hey, like we can be the best in this market?
I think the you know, dynamically, if you look at it, I don't think the internally there are few concepts I always talk to my team about. And number one, not number one, sorry, the one concept is there's no best, there's only better always. It's a very dynamic, including Lime, including our competitors. Every day we're learning, improving. If anyone don't do that, they will be, you know, out of the market or whatnot. So I think in the market we strive to be, and that's always the goal, right? How do we make the hardware better, software better, experience better? How do we make sure our deployment is better? How do we make sure our vehicles are better? How do we make sure we work with the local communities and the cities better? So that's what we do. I don't think there's a moment we really say we can be the best. We strive to be the best and keep it that way. I think the harder part is really to keep it that way. And being an entrepreneur, that is always the hard part, but that's always the fun part. Is can you do better than yesterday? Can you wake up the next day, be a better person? The company can perform a little bit better. The product can be a little bit better. In terms of the aha moment, we do have a lot of them. That I think it's a very fair question. It's the learning process, right? We started as launching bikes because that's what we're familiar with. I'm familiar with, and there's a lot of programs, bike share programs in Paris, namely in New York, in Washington D.C., and in Brazil, in Mexico. There are many programs has been fairly successful. So we started with bike. And then we started experimenting all kinds of vehicles. You know, we have the scooter, we have the three-wheelers, we have the mopeds, we even have a small, you know, four-wheeler. We have the two wheels that are kind of the side-by-side thing. And we were experimenting all kinds of them and testing with it with the users. We did a settle-on bike, right, which everyone agrees that was the universal, like kind of a light vehicle to carry people around. And what we found is that was another university we were experimenting with. We put the bikes and the scooters side by side. We found the scooters the utilization was 6 times or more on a daily basis. And that was one of the aha moments. Wow, you know, why is that? And we then interviewed and discussed with the users what are the reason why. I think the main learning there is probably that's due to myself, right? Since I blended bike as an exercise and commuting tool all together. And I actually appreciate it. You know, I can get there and I get my exercise done. That's not for everyone. That's one of the aha moment. So there are a lot of folks just want to get there. Exercise and fun is a whole nother thing. They don't want to blend them together for a variety of reasons. So a human-powered bicycle is not serving what our initial goal is, which is the intra-city traffic and commuting. And a powered vehicle like a scooter is the right way to do. Users don't want to put in the effort at that moment, or are wearing dresses or wearing suits or carry a lot of stuff. They just want to get there. So that's one of the things also reflected when we initially launching in the markets. Majority of them are bikes, and then gradually we're launching bikes and the scooters. Now scooter actually is the majority of our fleet.
That's great. I saw that there was a question. Ripsec?
Hi. I have a quick questions. So about mentor, I want to know how much important mentor is and how to find the right mentor, because what I'm feeling right now is a lack of mentorship, and I have the idea, have the skill, but lack of someone who guide the direction to do something. So how can we find that?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. To begin with, I think mentors are really, really valuable. It's not like necessary as the food you eat every day, but it's very, very valuable. I learned a lot, I benefit a lot from my mentors. Uh, and also I believe that they can give us, including myself, the value and the lessons that we sometimes will never be able to learn, since everyone go through a different journey, had a different experiences, education backgrounds, or thinking. Uh, if I would have a wish, I wish that I could have mentors early on, and of course, better mentors. All that I didn't have any mentor. I figured way things on myself until much later. So I wish I could have mentors early on. But that said, I think there's no one kind of mentor. There are many kind of mentor. There's an old Chinese saying is that if you are together with two other people, there is a mentor in there. You can learn from literally everyone, right? Their thinking, their knowledge, their base. So do not limit the base of your mentor. I think mentor there, mentor is not your professor or faculty or teacher, right? That is a very defined role. Well, as I treat mentors, everyone could be a mentor. Someone can always teach me something new. And if you take that, then mentor is not that hard to find. Second thing is what you need the most is where that gets interesting. Uh, for myself, right? I don't need a mentor in golfing. I'm just not into it. I tried really hard. I don't get it. So, but what I do need, when I look for mentors, there are a few criteria: experts or at least very experienced in the areas I'm interested in. So in your case, I'm not sure, what you wanted or needed the most. But let's just say in general, in your case, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean it has to be Elon Musk. It has to be, Steve Jobs. It could be many entrepreneurs locally. It could be, Tom and also his connections in the network. It could be even a boba shop in front of the university, right? Ask them how they feel, what they think about creating a business, what are challenges. Since everyone, again, that went through different journeys, had a different thinking process, experiences, that you can always learn from it. And the second type of the mentor, I would say experts. The experts is the mentor you want to keep a good relationship with, and you know what you always need. I have my mentors in expert in policy, in law, in green, like clean energy, in psychology, and all kinds of things. Yeah, that I can always tap into, and those are for really the expertise. And again, that do I need the best accountant? No, I need someone that's really good, but not necessary to be, the best champion in accounting or the biggest lawyer in the world, right? I think at a different, depends on the level you're looking for, but experts always be good mentors on different fronts. And the third part, I would say, sometimes mentor is also a good friend, the friend that you can open your heart and really chat without a reservation. And that kind of a mentor will help not necessarily give you the new ideas, but help you think through things. And kind of in a way is a mental mentor in many ways. Families, right? That you can open your heart, you can really have an honest conversation. They don't necessarily say, hey, you should do this way, not the other way. They will, however, help you to do some analysis, to think through and see things clear. So I think that is very important as well. If you are a student right now, you have a lot of mentors, your faculties, all that. Don't be afraid. When I was a young kid, I am very introverted, so I never go to my teachers or professor ask questions. I regret it. I think they're the expertise in the field. I should have cherished the time I had, the opportunity I have to ask more questions, to ask more guidances and all that, which I wasted, honestly speaking, right? So I think for yourself, that is a great opportunity to begin with. And if you're curious in any field, if at one time I was super curious about how camera works. I'll give you my quick example. I love photography. My dad got me into photography starting 5. So I love it so much. And I went to that, well, you don't see them anymore, right? Kodak shops. You see the Kodak shops? I was wondering that why I give him a film, exposed film, a roll of film, and I can hand over back the photos. And sometimes they're beautiful, sometimes they're horrible. So I actually volunteered to intern at the Kodak shop, just trying to figure out how things work. But also in return, I got a free development of my films and developed photos, right? And the owner of the shop was my mentor at the time. Tell me about exposures, color, how to control the chemicals, temperatures, how things work, and how I should be reframing differently and all that stuff. That's what I learned. But of course, after that, and I, further advanced into photographing and all that stuff. But at the time, he was my mentor, but driven by my curiosity.
That is great. We have one last question from Gabriel. Just because we're short on time, I'll go ahead and read this one. Can you tell us about a time you failed and what did that failure teach you?
Yeah, I think in short, I fail all the time, and that's what I enjoy as well. Maybe this is a little bit philosophical, but I wanted to share that. As I promised, it will be an honest conversation. I think life is a journey, and in the journey, it's not about destination. It's about along the journey what you experience and how you enjoy it. And to me, pain is part of the journey. Just like when I'm free or have a little bit of time, I like for example backpacking, right? Backpacking, the goal of backpacking is not to get a peak of the mountain. The goal of the backpacking is to enjoy every single step you take, every moment. Sometimes it rains, sometimes the backpack is really heavy, sometimes the mountain is steep. I believe you all experience things like this, right? You could be suffering all the way, or you could enjoy every single moment and learn from it. I think when it comes to failure, there are many. Let me think about what will be the recent ones. Well, first of all, one failure I would say personally say I had is I'm responsible for the strategy of Lime. So I did everything, planning, all that, which I quite enjoy, and so far been panning out really well. But one thing I didn't predict, I was not able to predict, and it leads to some hardship at Lime, is I didn't predict there will be a coronavirus. And it was a hard hit for not just our business, but the entire company. So we didn't have a plan, and we stretched our resource a little bit too thin, and that again was my mistake. And we had to go through a really tough time. I had to lay off quite a bit of my team member, which fought side by side with me for the vision. It was necessary to keep the business, to keep the vision, to keep the rest of the team in order to carry it out. But it was really painful. When I reflect on that, I think there are a few things, right? The first of all is that we are all by nature, entrepreneurs that by nature are optimistic, very optimistic. We always hope for the best and we always strive for the best. I think that's what drives us as well. I don't settle for 80%. I will strive for the 99%. I will squeeze for that 100%. But that also means that it will stretch, a little bit too thin, right? Sometimes it's myself, sometimes it's the team, sometimes it's our resources, and sometimes that I think I just ignored the potential risk. The risk that is it's called a black swan events, right? This is one of the black swan events. I read a book about it, black swans and how human history was formed by this kind of events. But when it applies to myself, I didn't pay enough attention to it. If we would have be better prepared for unforeseeable events, or when coronavirus came, that we can, do a better arrangement, a better analysis, I think the situation could be better. But again, I'm not saying I enjoy it. I'm saying every day, if we can be better, I think in this case, I do feel myself and also Lime become stronger, and we learn from it. We all hope coronavirus never happened, but it did, right? So what we can do, instead of complaining about it, self-pity about it, we reflect, we work on the things to make future better. But then reflect on myself, right? I was too optimistic. I stretched it to the point that the company cannot take on a big risk, and that's not good. So I think hopefully it's not about the coronavirus thing. It's really about how I think about failure, how I think about what to learn from it. We have to get over it. But if we didn't learn from it, then it's wasted, and the suffer is for no reason.
Great. Thank you so much, Brad. This has been such amazing insight and information. I'm really excited about everything. Thank you to everyone for joining us. And remember, in 2 weeks, we're going to have Chef Jose Andres. That's up on Eventbrite. You can also find it on our social media. And again, thank you so much, Brad. It's been such an honor to have you.
My pleasure. Really glad to chat with everyone.
You too. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good night.